Hi there, and welcome back to Holt's Hammers Antics. My name's Alexander, and this is a channel mainly about metal detecting, but all sorts of other things as well. And today I'm going to talk about actually filming one's metal detecting sessions, because it's a bit of a skill in itself, and it's something that I'm a complete beginner at, but hopefully getting better, as we know, with practice. But when I went online to see how other people were doing it, there's nothing on it. So I thought I'll do a very amateurish one of my own. So where to start? The smartphone. This is an old one I had lying around, which I prefer to use because I use my main phone, obviously, to make phone calls, and I don't want it getting dirty and grubby. So this I found and scrubbed it all apart, so it has plenty of memory, and it's what I video with. But the problem with the smartphone is actually getting wide enough angle to film yourself. It's good for close-ups. The cameras on these things are excellent for close-ups, but they're not so good for landscape and actually giving you some sort of background, etc., when you're filming yourself and you actually don't want to be just your face. But that, I decided, works very well in tandem with one of these. Now, I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this because it's something I just wanted to start out on, and therefore I thought, rather like buying one's first detector, there's no point in shelling out thousands of pounds if you're not going to enjoy it, or you're not going to be very good at it, or whatever, or you just give up after a bit. So these are very entry-level GoPro type cameras. There's a reason I bought two. Firstly, this one is a Go Extreme. I think it cost about 40 quid. They both have the advantage of having very wide angle lenses. This one's perfectly good, but it's terrible in low light, and I hadn't done enough research and worked that one out. So I then bought this one, which again wasn't very expensive, about 50 quid. It's an Acaso. I don't know the exact model off the top of my head, but I will find out and put it in a link in the description. Now, as I said, these are great because they are very, very wide angle, which means, again, a cheap tripod costs 10 quid or something. And like that, one can film oneself at a handheld distance and you will come out really well. It's got very good focus, and it just looks like someone else is filming, or that you're filming from quite a long way away. And you don't even actually have to hold it that far away from your body. It can be like that. So little cuts to yourself when you're filming work really well. Secondly, it's incredibly easy now just to put down with a little adjustment, and you can place it very close to yourself because of the wide angle lens and film yourself doing your digging or unearthing your, whatever it is, your Celtic gold stator. Again, without having to put it miles away, which you would have to do with this. It sets up really, really close, and you'll get a very wide angle lens. Plus, they seem to be very good for landscape. Again, the wide angle, if you want to fill in your videos with things other than just digging. When I've watched other people's videos, which again, probably are much more professional and better than mine, but there's a lot of shaking going on and looking like the actual thing is, obviously connected to your head or your belt or whatever. But I find that these two together work quite well. So this one just slots into a shoulder bag I've got there. This one I put on another tripod, slots in as well, so I can just grab them as and when. Because we also know when we're detecting that it's quite hard work filming yourself. If you're going to film every dig, you're permanently getting your camera out, turning it on, setting it down. I mean, it's really sort of, it slightly sometimes ruins going out and detecting. It's much nicer not filming yourself, but it's quite fun as well. So these also come with, wait for it. I mean, look at that. There's accessory to mount them on all sorts of things. Go underwater detecting. There's cases, but generally speaking, I just put it straight onto the thing and just use it like that. I don't get too worried about it scratching all the rest of it while it goes in and out of the bag. Again, it's cheap, it's 30 quid or something, so it's not going to bother me too much. But then you are going to lack probably the quality of something slightly more expensive. So what I tend to do is that one goes to film if I'm setting it down with the subject in the background, and then I can set this up much, much closer. And at the same time, if I do find something like my current iPhone is recording, I can do that and show, hopefully, that in focus rather than have to rely on the GoPro type thing, which is terrible at close-ups. So at the moment, I'm using two cameras. And as I said earlier, I'm very new to it. So if you do go and watch my previous videos, I mean, they're not much cop, but they hopefully will get better. But there's not much out there to show you how to do it. So I'm bumbling along slightly and doing it as and when. Right, let's go out with these three. And see how we get on. Now I'm going to do this in two parts. This is the first part, and it's all about the visuals, actually what the cameras take to look at. Because one other real con about these is the audio is terrible. There's tiny little microphones inside here. But it's no good. And one thing that almost all metal detecting videos have in common is that when there's a bit of wind and you're recording outside, you can't hear anything. Plus, once the camera's set down and you're away from it and there's a bit of wind or a bit of background noise, you can't hear anything. So that's what we're going to come to in the second part, because at the moment, with this Nikon, which I'm filming myself with, I've got a wireless setup and it clicks very neatly onto the Nikon and plugs in. But I'm going to try and find a way of using it with one of these. The clip that actually receives the transmission, which is on top of the camera at the moment, is about the same size as that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to clip it on, but there must be some way amongst all this lot, all these gubbins, which I'm probably never going to use, of strapping it on or finding some way to connect the two. Connection's going to be a problem as well, because we only have little USB mini ports. And that one at the moment just has a 3.5mm jack. But that's another problem which we'll cross our bridge when we come to it. Anyhow, let's take these out and put them through their paces. I'm not going to go on and on about specs and all the rest of it. I'm going to make them as much like each other as I can, i.e. I'm going to set them both on wide, put the ISO on automatic, and see which is the better of the two cheap ones. We already know how the iPhone works, so I'll probably leave that. But as I said, it does seem to be, hopefully, quite good that when you're recording, you can actually, at the same time, have something filming the close-up, rather than having to keep picking up one of these, putting it closer, and not actually getting a very good result at the same time. Anyway, I'm banging on. Let's go out and give these a go.